Welcome, college football fans. I'm TC Tykilla, and today we are looking at the predictions for the South Division in Pac-12 football, Week 3. And if you're looking for North predictions, go check out my channel. It'll be on there. And if I remember, I'll put a link in the description box for you guys as well. Last week, I went 8-1 straight up in my predictions for the Pac-12. And in Week 1, I went 9-1, giving my 2-week total 17-2. And my top 25 so far is 37-4 for a 2-week total straight up. If you're interested in those, let me know. I'll do a short video. I think I'm going to do it next week for sure. Just kind of going through my new rankings for a couple weeks in now that we've seen the teams play at least 2 times. And I'll kind of have my rankings and reasons for that, as well as a few thoughts on the early college football season, and probably just name my picks for next week really quick off the top of my head without looking into it much further. But without further ado, going in reverse power ranking order, with 6 being the lowest on the totem pole and number 1 being the top team in the South Division, let's get started here with predictions for Week 3. At number 6, we have Colorado. And they're on an uptick, but I don't think they're there yet to be able to pass another team in the power rankings. We got to see them against a real quality opponent. And this week we will have the opportunity to do so with Fresno State coming into town. And they are 2-0, and they played Rutgers already and had that high-scoring overtime affair. I think the final score is 52-51. Don't quote me on that. Colorado is 8th in the nation, surprisingly so far. In the pass offense, 370.5 yards per game. And Connor Wood, 56 for 82 for 741 yards. So very, very efficient so far, albeit against lower competition. Paul Richardson is a wideout, 21 carries so far for 417 yards. That's 208.5 yards per game so far. 4 touchdowns for him. He's definitely going to be a key part in keeping this team together and kind of helping them propel into some wins if they want to go bowling. They're very outside shot of going to a bowl game. Pretty much rests on his hands as well as the quarterback, Connor Wood. I don't see why they should win this one. I wish they would, but Fresno State is just a good team. One of the best non-AQ teams in the country. Going to be a tough fight for the Mountain West Conference this year with Boise State, San Jose State, Utah State, and you could probably name a few others that are going to be in the mix for that championship as well. They're a very good team, pass-oriented. Came into Boulder last year and just, I think 61-14 is what's shown up in my mind. I should have looked it up beforehand, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer this year. Like I said, Colorado's on a little bit of an uptick around Mike McIntyre, kind of rebuilding a little bit and doing a fairly good job so far. Had a little bit of a scare last week against Central Arkansas, but pulled out with a win. So 2-0 for Colorado, already doubling their win total from last year. I think their unbeaten streak is going to fall this weekend. Fresno State, I think, is a 2-touchdown favorite, and I'm going with a 2-touchdown win over Colorado, 42-28. I think it'll be close in the first half, but Fresno will start to inch away, and so that's where I give Fresno the edge. Next up in the Pac-12 South Division pecking order is USC. Kind of debated where to put them, but they haven't looked good so far here in 2013, so I think a little bit lower on the scale is appropriate. They need to get their quarterback situation figured out. Lane Kiffin decided to name Cody Kessler as the starter this week. Hopefully that will boost his confidence a little bit, give him additional reps with the first team offense in practice, and he can be more comfortable running the offense, knowing the plays, and hopefully that translates into more success on the field. They got Boston College coming to LA this weekend. Last week, I said this in the last video with Washington State, but 193 yards of offense for USC last week, and only 54 of those were passing. I think their yards per pass attempt was 2.5, 2.6, somewhere pretty low, and they're 99th in points for at 18.5. They played in Hawaii in week 1, and we didn't really know the extent of the problem until week 2 when WSU came to town and beat them at the Coliseum. So it's going to take a good, significant little push here to get them going in the meat of their Pac-12 schedule. They got a couple weeks before another game. So hopefully they get things straightened out. I think naming Cody Kessler will help. And hopefully Lane Kiffin gets it together with his play calling. They were chaining Fire Kiffin at the end of the game last week. Throughout the game, I'm pretty sure, even at halftime and stuff. And there's been stuff popping up all week about fire lanes and stuff like that. The Fire Lane Kiffin graffiti and all that good stuff. I think USC will get a little bit on track, if you want to call it that. Boston College isn't an amazing team, but I think they're going to be a decent AQ team, and USC should come out on top. They should come out on top, but I'll say they barely squeak out a win, 24-14 in this one. Hopefully they can muster some offense against the ACC team. Moving on to number 4, I'm going to go with Utah. And I kind of debated between this one with Utah and Arizona, where to put them. But Utah hasn't really played, I guess neither team has really played real good teams up till now or next week, depending on the team. But I just went with Utah as my gut feeling for number 4. Last week they stomped Weber State 70-7 at home. And they had 628 total yards. And so far they have scored 100 points in their 2 games. That's 50 points per game. So definitely helping with the new offense, the new offensive coordinator, Dennis Erickson, implementing the spread offense. And that's something Oregon State who they're playing. And that's something that they've been struggling with in their opener against Eastern Washington. Vernon Adams put up over 500 yards total offense against them, and that was in a spread offense as well. So Oregon State's defense, not as good as it's supposed to be. It kind of did a little better against Hawaii, but Hawaii's not very good on the offensive side of the ball anyway. And it was, I think, tied at halftime. And they pulled away in the second half. Oregon State's defense definitely needs to come together. And last year that was their strength. This year it's not. And Sean Mannion's been doing fairly well behind center. They're definitely going to need that to keep going if they want some hope and chance to win games with the current defense that they have. I think Utah's new offense will be able to score many points on Oregon State's defense. But I'm going with Utah to win this one, and I think it'll be a medium score-ish game. It's not going to be low, but I don't think it's going to be astronomically high. I don't think it's going to be in the high 40s, 50s. I'm going 38-27 Utah. Now moving on to the top half of the division, I'm going with number 3, Arizona. And we haven't really seen them much, and probably if I would have kind of researched more topics and storylines, I might have switched to Utah and Arizona. Arizona, their passing game is not what it was with Matt Scott last year. Last week they only had 81 yards passing, and that was against Las Vegas. And then they had 87 yards passing the previous week against Northern Arizona. So an FCS team, they couldn't even muster up some passing. I don't know if it's just that their scheme is just run 85% of the time or what. But they do have Carey. He was suspended for game 1. They got him back last week against UNLV, and he had 16 carries for 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a long run of 58. At the helm, I was talking about the passing game, only scoring about 84 yards per game, and that's B.J. Denker. He went 8 for 21 last week. They've been running the quarterback a lot. He got 17 carries last week for 63 yards. While they are low ranked nationally on the passing game, they are high ranked in the running game. 351.5 yards per game so far in their 2 games. They play University of Texas San Antonio, so not a very good team. San Antonio just came out of a decent kind of game against Oklahoma State. I was predicting that one was going to be a blowout, but San Antonio kind of kept it close. I think 56-37 was the final score. Something around 20 points spread there, but they did score on Oklahoma State. And if anyone remembers Arizona and Oklahoma State last year, they played a shootout, like a 60-35 victory for Arizona. So if Arizona can muster up some defense, they'll have no problem with this. If they let it happen, if they let a shootout happen, they have a very remote chance of being in trouble, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going with Arizona 38, San Antonio 17. Moving on to the top two now, and two of the biggest games this week for the Pac-12 as far as national perception goes. Number 2, Arizona State, and they are welcoming Wisconsin in. Number 20 ranked Wisconsin coming to town this weekend. Wisconsin has played Massachusetts and Tennessee Tech and have won both games by at least 40 points and have not allowed a point against them so far. 2 shutouts. I definitely expect that to be broken this weekend. People are saying how the heat will affect the game, but people are kind of disputing that. Wisconsin already, it's hot there, I guess, 93s, 95s, mid-90s there, so they're pretty used to it. I think the more thing they should be concerned with is Taylor Kelly and the offense. They're just very productive and very efficient at home in Tempe. But can Arizona State, can they crack the defense that has shut out opponents so far in the 2013 season? Wisconsin has 390 yards rushing per game average so far, so Arizona State needs to muster up that defense with Will Sutton at the tackle position and just get the defensive line some push up front and not allow the running backs to get into the secondary in the first place. Last week, Arizona State beat Sacramento State 55-0. They were 8 for 16 on third down. That's 50% efficiency, so I think that's pretty decent. They just need to continue those trends on to Wisconsin. They only gave up 161 yards last week, but it is Sacramento State, an FCS team. Taylor Kelly went 27 for 36, passing for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think that's pretty much it. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a better game than UCLA and Nebraska. These two teams are pretty evenly matched. I would probably give the edge slightly to Wisconsin, but the fact that they're coming to Arizona State and playing at Sun Devil Stadium, I'm giving the edge to Arizona State, and so are the bet makers. I think the spread's 5.5 in favor of Arizona State. I'm going with 27-20 with Wisconsin losing and getting scored on this weekend. That brings us to number 1, UCLA. They traveled to Nebraska to take on the 23rd ranked Cornhuskers. The Bruins are ranked number 16 in this poll, and they had a bye last week. Before that, they in week 1 they played Nevada and stomped them 58-20. So looking pretty good. The Bruins are. How did the Bruins handle the loss of their wide receiver, their freshman wide receiver last week? That's going to be one of the big storylines. This game was already kind of hard to pick, and that just adds another dimension onto it. How are they going to be playing with heavy hearts? Are they going to be playing with a lot of motivation? Just how are they going to come out of the tunnel on Saturday feeling? And I don't know. Both teams are going to honor him. I hope I get this right, but I think UCLA will have a 36 on their jersey, and Nebraska will have a 36 on their helmet. A helmet decal for him. Nebraska played Wyoming and then Southern Miss, and against a Wyoming team, they let up 34 points. They allowed 34 points. And Southern Miss, they allowed 13. Southern Miss hasn't won a game, I think, since 2011. I think that's 14 games. I'm not exactly sure. Should have looked that up. But I think around 14, 15 games that they have not won a game in. So they still allowed 13 points against them. I don't think their defense does not look particularly strong for Nebraska. So can the Bruins capitalize on that? They have a high-scoring offense with Brett Hundley. And they were I think last week I said that they did spread the ball around, and I think a lot of receivers had some catches. So hopefully they continue to do that. To do that again, establish some sort of running game. Brett Hundley can run the ball as well, and if they can get some stops on Nebraska, I think the Bruins can definitely put up some more points in them. I'm going with the Bruins in Lincoln. I'm going with a 37-27 final score. I'm hoping it won't even be closer than that, but I assume it will, with the Sea of Red helping out the Cornhuskers. So that is the South Division predictions for Week 3. Check back on next week, and I will have something up for you guys. Hopefully this week I will be doing my updated rankings for my top 25 now that we've seen people play. So definitely come check that out. I'll have it up around Tuesday, I'm hoping. So thanks for watching, guys. Follow me on Twitter at TCTykilla. Thank you.